she was basically like, hey girl, I was playing your special for like the 10th time for views, basically on mute. I'm like, thanks.
Oh, that's nice.
She's like, this should have way more. It's way too good. I'm like, no. Hello, fuckers. How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Guys We Fcked.
It's the anti-slut-shaming podcast. I'm Corinne Fisher.
I'm Krystyna Hutchinson.
Welcome to the show. Have you watched our comedy special yet?
You
Krystyna
didn't?
was going to say the same thing.
You didn't watch it? I hate you. Pause this episode and watch it right now. We're so proud of it. Our special day, youtube.com/guyswefcked without the U in fucked.
And make sure to remind yourself that you're a good person because you're a Luminary subscriber. If you are, I don't know. If you're not a bad person, but
we don't like you as much. Yeah, always room for improvement.
No, but for real, the Luminary subscribers, we've had a really good time on Luminary, and they get 28 bonus episodes a year. Some people were like, I don't like those canned ads you run now. Well, guess what? If you were a Luminary subscriber, then you wouldn't have to listen to those.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, it was so funny to me that people were complaining about those. And I was like, guys, you complain? Well, you always just want to complain. It's like, okay, there has to be a way to finance this operation. I'm not sitting here in this studio that we're renting for shits and giggles every week.
Yeah. Finance your own complaints. Become a Luminary subscriber.
But yeah, it's been really fun. The bonus episodes are works of art.
Yeah, they really are.
But however you're listening and wherever you're listening, we fucking appreciate you. Yeah. And there's many ways to help the podcast, including writing a review that's free on Apple Podcasts, telling a friend about the show, posting about it on Instagram.
Sharing it.
Like, we appreciate all these things, and we thank you so much.
Tell the person you're fucking to listen to a certain episode of a sex move that you want to try.
That's true.
Wow. I mean, we've been getting motherfuckers laid since 2013. Okay, so take advantage of this. If
Mike giggled because one of the main ones is him.
Well, I know. Jesus Christ. Not me, but everybody else has gotten fucked from the show in a good way.
Appreciate you, ladies.
Yeah. Hey, it's a lot of pussy. Got to go somewhere.
Right. You know? Right. Mm-hmm.
And as always, if you are a musician, if you have a band, if you know a good friend who has a song that's good, send a streaming link and an actual MP3 file over to Mike Big Don Coscarelli at gwfpodcastmusic@gmail.com. All the music you hear on Guys We Fcked is made by listeners like you.
Has anyone included nudes in those emails, Mike? Because we don't check up on those.
No. Nobody's included. No. The nudes usually come through my
DMs.
Thank you.
As they should.
Please.
Yeah. Good job, ladies.
Separate business and pleasure.
I didn't think a woman. I don't think
a music folder.
That's a man move to send nudes to an email. I feel like a woman wouldn't do.
Yeah,
well, I feel like that would be like almost incriminating to oneself. Not that it's a crime to send nudes. Obviously, if you're over 18, but it just feels like maybe don't.
Yeah.
It should be a crime to send nudes when it's a dick pic that you don't want.
Right.
It should only be a crime when it's what I don't like.
Yes. Nice.
And speaking of that, write us an email. sorryaboutlastnightshow@gmail.com. If you're going through something, if you have a wild story, if you learned an important lesson under the umbrella of sexuality, tell us the tale. There's no subject line for this email, but there is an email, so I'm going to read it. Hey guys, currently binging and I'm still on episodes from 2016, so this may have been discussed. So some backstory.
That's literally 6 years ago.
Yeah, wow. I started dating my boyfriend in November. He's 36, I'm 30. We've both been in multiple serious relationships previously. Children and marriage came up very early in the relationship as we didn't want to waste our time. Let me mute that. Up until last week, he would only express wanting to get married or have kids when he was drunk. When he was sober, he would act uninterested. Well, he took me to Disney for my 30th birthday with his family. You don't seem to mind. I drunkenly told his sister what was going on with the marriage kid stuff since she's getting married this year, and I told her I'd have no issue signing a prenup if he asked.
Oh,
I mean,
is he rich?
That's a weird thing to bring up. I hope he's uncomfortably rich because otherwise that's a weird thing to bring up.
If they're going to Disney World, he's not.
Right. Well, everyone goes to Disney World.
Yeah.
Even famous people go.
The Kardashians go. Why do I say it like that?
Fair.
Yeah, Disney's like you have something wrong in your mind, not your wallet.
Right.
So
I love Disney.
I love Disney, but
that's correct.
I hate romantic things at Disney.
And if you ever want to quit smoking, go to the one smoking section at Disney.
Yeah.
That'll make
Shout
you
out
quit.
to my sister who got engaged at Disney World.
Oh boy! Wait,
the one with Down syndrome?
Yeah, no, the other one. Yeah. Not Nicole, Marissa.
Who's actually a really nice person.
Yeah.
I didn't know Marissa got engaged.
Oh yeah.
When was that?
During the pandemic in Disney World. My mom is one of the crazy Disney people that we're talking about here.
Oh wow!
I know that.
Nice.
Corinne's on the money as usual.
If you didn't get the hint, he has money. Oh, okay. Yeah, we did get the hint.
Yeah,
wow, good for us. Yeah. If you didn't get the hint, he has money. I do not.
I was going to prenup a mattress on the floor.
Well, it's something. It's your possessions. Well, this past weekend, he brought it up and said he was afraid to ask because every girlfriend or romantic he brought it up to was completely against it. Oh, a prenup, I guess.
That's a nice way of saying, listen, I wanted to marry a lot of ladies before you, but none of them would sign the paperwork.
But they only wanted me for my money. So do you want me for my love?
So funny.
I told him I would absolutely sign one as it's not mine. He was shocked and then told me it's all on the table then. Wow, that's it, guys. Men's bar. It's just they require so little. I do not have a much better job than he does. He was just lucky to have a mother who did well.
He does.
Oh,
she does.
I do have a much better. Oh, thank you. Good catch. I do have a much better job than he does. He was just lucky to have a mother who did well and taught him to be smart with money. Oh, shit. Okay. So I'm not coming into this a loser, just not as well off. That's good to assess the situation, honestly. I guess my question is, why are people so against prenups? We discussed it only had to do with previous assets and nothing made after marriage, which is perfect. Makes sense. So what's the issue? When bringing it up to some of my friends, they also expressed dislike towards the idea. I just don't get it.
Your friends are gold diggers.
Y'all. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, y'all. Your podcast has made me feel normal for the first time in my life. Look, I personally, we are so pro prenup. I think it's so dumb if you don't get a prenup.
It's a pro prenup show.
Yes.
Yeah, very pro prenup. I was sued, and so was Corinne, by one of my exes, and I wasn't even fucking married.
Yeah.
Girl, get the prenup because you don't know what's going to happen. And the thing is, it's whatever you come to the table with that you've earned before I met you, that's your hard-earned money, boo. I don't want it.
Yeah.
That's yours. You earned it. Even if you're a man, you should keep the money you earn.
Yeah, people have these like preconceived notions about prenups that it means like, oh, they love you less, or like they're planning on leaving you. But it's like, listen, any relationship, no matter how amazing it is, could end at any fucking time for any fucking reason. You don't know what life is going to bring. And part of marriage is that it is a legally binding deal. And that's one of the reasons I'm actually very not into marriage. It's not because I won't sign a prenup. It's because like, I don't feel like I need to prove to the government anything to get married to someone, or like I don't feel like I need to like document my love legally. That's like a big problem I have with it, because marriage is historically a large business deal. It's the joining of two families. Like that's what it is. We have made it through customs and celebrations into something that is more romantic. But again, even that is because we live in a capitalist society and we want to monetize it, you know? So it's like, if all you need is love, then you don't actually need to get married. But many people like to do it for various reasons. That being said, it's a business deal. Business deals need paperwork. You need the fucking prenup. Yeah. And if you're already married and you don't have a prenup and you're listening to this, guess what? You get a postnup. We had a divorce lawyer on.
That guy.
He talked about that. You can find him at that guy.
He's tall with gray hair.
I remember that guy.
You know that guy? He's a divorce lawyer.
So
really nice guy.
He does a lot of postnups. We talked, in the past several years about Adele and how much money she lost in her divorce. Kelly Clarkson actually just lost a lot of money in her divorce. And, we bring up Mel B went bankrupt. Mel B is a whole fucking, that's a whole shitstorm right there. But there's, and it's not just women who should be getting prenups. This is obviously a women targeted show.
Yeah.
So we care about you more. We want better for you. You got shit under the stick more often. So we do target it towards that. But yeah, everyone should get a prenup. And no matter how much you make, because if you don't get a prenup because you're broke, then that's also kind of like canceling your dreams for the future. Like, how do you know you're not going to win the lottery? How do you know you're not going to achieve your greatest dream? How do you know you're not going to invent something that's going to change the world? And I mean, listen, you guys are negotiating that after marriage, you share everything. I wouldn't even do that.
I don't know if I would do that. I mean, I understand like, you work together as a couple. If you, I just, for me, I'm like getting involved business wise with your husband or your mate. Ooh, I don't know.
I mean, you can have a joint bank account and then sometimes 2 separate bank accounts. But like another thing we've talked about a lot on the show is, and this is primarily for women's safety, you should have a private bank account with money in it at all times that your spouse doesn't know about. And that is a fucking get out of jail free card
for you.
For you, if things get violent, if things get manipulative, so you can get out and you don't have to ever stay with someone because you've put yourself in a not good financial financial situation. So we
Yeah.
are very pro this. And all your friends who are against it and are living in their fucking Disney princess worlds, tell them they're dumb fucks.
Yeah, because a prenup, it's like I used to feel this way about boundaries before I like learned and understood like what was happening in my head. But like, you know how some people take boundaries personally and it's like, no, actually a boundary is very healthy for a relationship. This is like a very healthy boundary, a prenup. It's a respectful boundary. And it's saying that your finances that you earned are yours. And two are not melting into one here. We're two separate people.
Yeah, and I would be a little more pat on the back to your perhaps husband to be if it wasn't, his mommy's money.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Hey, money's money, which is great.
Sure,
But, it's not as impressive.
it sounds like she's gonna out earn him.
Yeah,
That's
It
how
does,
it
yeah.
sounds. So
Yeah.
you might as
And
well
so
protect that.
Get that
Right.
prenup, girl, because what if you if you up that corporate ladder faster than you expected, and he's supportive, but still, I'm like, I also don't think that a husband should get half my money that I made while he was just like, I love you during me making that
Right.
money. That doesn't entitle you to half my money.
And also to look at this from a business perspective, Mike is bringing up a really good point. Okay, so you're coming into it and you're being agreeable. You're signing the prenup right now. He has more money than you. But yes, you're recognizing you have the better job. And so the fact that you're agreeing to the prenup with and making no revisions yourself, I would also change that because it's like, yeah, you're number one being agreeable, and number two, you're signing a document that is only protecting him. I would go further and protect money that you are making in the future because it's like, okay, so you're already being agreeable, so you need to bring something to the table. Don't just go along with like so many women write us letters where they're just kind of like being agreeable to what the guy is saying, whether you're moving to where he wants to move, you're going along with what his family does, you're going along with like his dreams. And I think we really need to get out of that pattern. And this includes like, so yes, it's okay to sign the prenup, but no, it's not okay to sign the prenup under the conditions that you have presented to us because there's nothing in it for you right now.
Right.
There's nothing in any legal agreement. There should be something in it for both parties. So, I mean, I hope you also have a lawyer look at it. You can hire a lawyer that's not,
Yeah. Miss, respectfully, like you said that he had, I guess it's an inheritance or however he got this money.
And it seems like he might did some savings, maybe some stocks or something like that.
Yeah.
So his mom taught him how to be good with money and save money, but that doesn't necessarily mean his mom taught him how to turn that money into more money.
Correct.
And you have the potential to out earn, which we kind of just said.
Right.
So like protect
Get that
your
paper, girl.
future potential.
Hell yeah.
Always stay gracious. Best revenge is your paper. Guys, come see us live.
Is that from a song?
Yeah, Beyonce.
I thought so.
Yeah. London, May 12th, I'm at the Leicester Square Theatre, and Dublin, Ireland, May 13th, I'm at the Sugarland Club, and it's going to be fun. The Voices in Our Heads is a solo podcast I do with new episodes available only on patreon.com/Krystyna Hutchinson. This week, I try ketamine therapy. Will it go well? I don't know. Stay tuned.
Oh, I might join the Patreon to hear that.
Do you do the ketamine therapy on air?
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm just
okay.
going to check in before and after.
Oh,
and
you didn't
see.
do it yet.
No,
Okay.
I'm doing it tomorrow. My appointment's tomorrow.
I'm very, very curious about how that's going to go.
I think it's going to go well, but never say never.
know.
I don't know.
And then Without a Country is my podcast with Shane Smith, where we tackle the news and we get into we get into those like conversations that people are uncomfortable to get into these days, but we're friends. So, hopefully, listen, I've gotten in knocked down, drag out. What's the saying? Knock it down, drag out fights?
Knock down, drag out
Okay.
fights.
Yeah. With, my previous co-host on the show. But,
Oh, yeah.
Shane's been to therapy.
Yeah, he's had a lot.
Yeah, I think the other
he's
one
worked on
was
himself.
No shade. He's gonna get mad at me if he hears that. I love both of them.
I don't think the other guy's been to therapy.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I
all
was
right, we're gonna
talking
have to
about it.
cut this out. I've done.
You
enough.
got it.
I've had enough problems with him. Anyway, so Without a Country is my podcast with Shane Smith, where we have those uncomfortable conversations that people don't like having anymore about politics and social issues, but I truly believe that they're so important. We make it fun. We make it digestible. It's every Saturday on YouTube, Without a Country podcast, and you can also listen to it if you just want to hear the audio anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Alrighty. And then as always, on youtube.com/Guys We Fcked without the U and fuck, not only will you be able to watch our special day, but you can also watch other content for free. Like, did that help? Where we have listeners send us in questions and we give you advice. And also the Dumb Bitch Woo Hour. We have 2 episodes up right now where we go, it's like a sketch comedy show about being a dumb bitch and into woo stuff. and it's great.
That's how he got the title. And then you can head on over to our TikTok for super fun clips from the show, stand-up clips. It's a hot channel, guys. That's at Guys We Fucked without the U in fucked. Give us a follow. Again, all free things to help the show. We don't expect you to be loaded. You didn't sign that. You didn't sign that prenup yet. We don't know what's happening in your life.
Don't lose all your money, girl.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right. How are you doing?
I'm good. You know, summer is spring is coming. And as always, I get very horny in the springtime.
Horny weather.
I just get so horny when it gets warm out. It makes me so happy. And I was in Miami for 2 days and it was 80. Oh my God. It was so,
80 is the perfect temperature.
Yes. I was on the beach sweating and I was just so horny and it was so great. And all the girls' butts were out. It was just so nice. And then the cat calling in Miami, though, I had multiple men above the age of 65 tell me my pussy was smiling at them through my jean shorts. And I was like, I'm going to turn right around and go back into that hotel room and change because I just don't feel like hearing that.
Krystyna, I've never lived in Harlem, Hutchinson.
Yeah. I don't feel like it. It's not that, honestly, at this point, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. It really doesn't make me.
It's just annoying.
It's a gross thing to say.
It's fucking annoying.
I don't feel threatened. I don't feel, but I'm like,
the comments on the pussy are out of this world. Out of this world in a bad way.
Gentlemen, never tell a woman that you could see her pussy through whatever she's wearing unless you are actively fucking her. My God, I can't believe how many people told me they could see my vagina outline. And also you couldn't. So like, fuck you.
But the thing is,
you could have.
If it's that many people to me, that says that it's worked. Like, I feel like if one woman is receptive to it, out of 100 women, that guy's going to do it for another decade.
Yeah. Miami charm.
Right. Well, and then I found myself, Friday night, I went down a day early because I was like, I'm going to go a day early to like sit on the beach. And I did. And that night I went to a karaoke bar, and I met up with a friend, Tatiana, shout out. She is a fan of the show and a lovely person and a lovely friend. And we went to a karaoke bar and there was a lot of bros there because it was a Bitcoin conference. We're all wearing sunglasses inside. That's like a Bitcoin Miami thing, wearing sunglasses inside. It's like a douchey fucking whatever. Yeah. And there was I sat down because I wanted to sit, I sat down and it was like a karaoke bar, but it was like, not like a club, not like a nightclub by any means, but it was like a cool karaoke bar that like the only thing to do there was karaoke. And I sat by a table and then all these bros got like Dom Perignon, like some crazy expensive champagne, and the bottles had like the fucking fireworks.
The sparklers, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh God. And then they ended up being Guys We Fcked fans and they were so cool. And one of them was like, are you Krystyna Hutchinson? And I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, I love your show. I saw you guys in Minnesota. My ex-girlfriend invited me there and I love your show. I've loved your show ever since. And she dumped me, but whatever. And it was funny. And I was like, wow, you arrived at the club. I rolled my eyes at you and I expected to hate you. And then you were really nice and a fan. So.
Did you say that to him?
Yeah, I did. And then he asked for my number and I gave it to him. And I got to stop doing that. Like, I didn't want to give, there's something in me that like in the moment I'm just like, oh, that's so nice that you're a fan. And then I gave him my actual fucking number.
You gave him his number as a fan or as a guy who wanted to fuck you?
I don't know. I just gave him my number. He just said, put your number in my phone. And I fucking did it. And I'm like, well, I thought I was done with these automatic doing things that I don't want to do phase.
You didn't
But apparently,
I mean, I don't give colleagues my phone number. That's how, because the phone, people texting me is my number one most irritating thing that happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to ignore you anyway. I blocked him. I was like,
why are you laughing, Mike?
I just think it's funny because there's times where I text you where I'm like, this is not the time to do this.
No, you're fine. You
this is business.
I know. Work on the team.
But Mike, I feel you cringing as if you're bothering Corinne via text, but it's like, this is work stuff. It has to get done.
It's always the people who are actually worried about bothering me that literally never bother me.
I know that.
I had someone text me an offer, and I hope you're fucking listening this week to drive 2 hours into upstate New York for $200 and free food and drink to headline a show. I was like, you guys, I mean, you have to understand the growth of one's career.
That's not right. It has nothing to do with that offer. That offer is not included in it.
Oh my God.
Corinne, this will be fun. You get stage time.
Yeah. The fact that he actually
take pictures of you. You get some pictures.
The fact that he typed out food and drink to an over 10-year veteran comic was so fucking offensive.
That is offensive.
I actually didn't even respond. And then I saw he tried to contact me on Facebook Messenger, which just shows me out of the goddamn loop he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Facebook
Right.
Messenger, guys, stop. Unless you're trying to book your grandfather.
Brutal.
It's not going to work.
But Krystyna, you didn't have, so like this guy asked for your number and you, in your mind, you weren't like, he's hot, I'm into him.
I had
or you
no
just-
interest in fucking
you
him,
just
and
did
I
it?
don't think he had interest in fucking me. He was just, we talked about, I don't know, we had like a really nice conversation, and he was telling me, I was just so pleasantly surprised. I love when people surprise me. That's like my favorite thing in the world. When I think someone's like an asshole, and I stereotype them, and then they're like this like artsy, kind, wacky person, and I'm like, oh, that's so lovely. Like, it's a nice reminder. So I was so taken aback by how like intelligent he was emotionally, to be honest.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
we
she
just had
thought
a-
you were a fucking idiot.
yeah, you look like a
Shout
fucking
out.
idiot. You look like
Thanks for listening.
You had sunglasses on. It was 2 a.m. You look like a fucking idiot, but you were actually really nice and kind, and I appreciated that. So yeah, and then afterwards I was like, why did I fucking do that? I hadn't done something like automatic like that in a while. So whatever, I just block them and move on. But
Sure.
like, damn, man, that's funny.
Did he text you?
No.
Oh.
He did. He texted me that like later that night, like, hey, it was great to meet you.
Oh, okay. Well,
that was
that's
it. And I was like,
acceptable,
yeah, it was fine. But I'm like, yeah, we're done here.
Well,
no
I think-
offense to him. That was my bad.
I think it's like funny, like, because I think like we in this like age of like technological connection, anytime we have a positive interaction with someone, we want to we think in our brains, oh, we should be connected to this person forever,
right.
But I think we need to just start like appreciating like these small moments when we have a good interaction with someone, and then like they go out into the universe, and that's the end of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm practicing this thing now where if whatever interaction it is, big or small, and someone asks me a question and my answer is no, I'm practicing just going, no.
And not giving an explanation.
And then not saying anything
Yeah.
after that. It's so hard.
Yeah.
I want to
is
sugarcoat
hard.
it so bad.
Yeah. Well, even in an email or a text, like, people really don't, most people don't need an explanation for why you're saying no.
Right. No one ever hardly does. I mean, there are some instances,
It
but
depends. I think if you're in a relationship with someone,
Yeah.
then
If
then they
that's-
do get an explanation.
yeah, if the relationship has some type of intimate nature, for sure. But other than that, there's so many instances where it's just a no is required, and I zhuzh it up, and it needs no zhuzhing.
I like to say verbally, I'll pass. Like it's my agent sending me an offer. Pass.
Next.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
is a good one.
Yeah.
Next is a good one. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So that's cool. I'm getting horny because it's warm out. And then I'm also thinking about, I've just, I like basically listen to self-help books instead of music. And 80% of it goes in one ear and out the other. I don't resonate with a lot of it. But I'm just looking for like, if there's anything that gets said where I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept, I'm going to hold on to that or look into it. And this concept of like, marriage or a partnership, like the idea, marriage, there's so many power dynamics implied when you talk about marriage, like in the traditional sense. And so there's one of the books was like thinking about a relationship as a spiritual partnership. And I was like, that's very interesting. I like that idea because that's really, I like growth. I know you don't have to always be learning and growing, but I enjoy that a lot. And so I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way to frame a relationship. It makes me feel less trapped thinking about getting into one.
Right.
So,
Well, it's funny that you say that because I was at my cousin-in-law to be, I guess is how I would describe her bridal shower yesterday. And
a bridal shower.
it was lovely, and she's wonderful. I'm happy that she's joining the family. Thank God, another woman kind of close to my age. Like Jesus, I'm the oldest grandchild by a long shot, and there's like two guys below me. Like one of them's my brother. So, just so we have a small family. But I'm like, yes, another like woman. Even though I only see her like 5 times a year. I mean, twice a year probably. I was like 5
Walk that
times
back.
Well, we're not going to. I know we're not. She lives 2 hours away in Pennsylvania. But I was just sitting there as I do at these American pastimes, just
traditions.
feeling like absolutely alien, like, and it's not about me, so it doesn't matter. And I'm not one of those people who's like gonna like wear black to your fucking bridal party and like will sit with a puss on my face. Like I played all the games, I played bridal bingo, happy to do it because that's what you want and it's your day. I'll do whatever the fucking shit that you want to do. I took my jam to spread the love and I drank a mimosa with my grandma.
Okay.
I love getting my grandma ripped. That was hilarious. She had
your grandma gets ripped?
No, she had one and I was like, I was trying to convince her to have another one.
Wow.
But I mean, my grandma's a tiny woman.
Yes, she
I mean, she's
is.
like half the size of me and I'm 5'3". And so, but then I was just sitting there and it was, bridal shower. So everyone's a woman in the room.
Yep.
And so
Such
it's a
a
lot
weird
of,
thing.
female energy, and a lot of people who obviously think this is like one of the most important days in their life. And you know, I hope that you find someone so spectacular that it is one of the best days in your life. But I never feel more out of fucking place than when I'm at a bridal shower. I think bridal shower is probably the most intense because it's all that female energy, and it's a group of women who I feel very close to. Women as a group of people, I feel very close to women, but it's
not
a bunch of women who feel so differently about certain milestones in life from me. And I just I feel the energy like hitting back at me. Everyone's crying and clapping, and I'm going like, dude, I'm so happy for you. I really am. And I do. And I'm happy for my cousin. And but I'm just sitting there like, and then I was like doing the math, and I was like, well, we spent basically as much as on our comedy special as most people spend on their wedding, which was kind of the concept, our special day, you know, not necessarily financially to blow as much money as people blow on a wedding, but whatever.
You might get return on investment on what you guys did.
There's a possibility of it, which is way better.
A possibility for some roya. But I just every time it fascinates me. And then even I was sitting next to some woman from the bride's family, because I was sitting obviously mostly with the groom's family because he's my cousin. And you know, she was telling my grandmother like, oh, it's so exciting that you get to see one of your grandchildren get married. That's like my dream. And
that's sweet.
And then I was like, well, I'm the oldest, grandchild. So that's why it took extra long, because I didn't get married. And my brother is the next oldest grandchild, and he's not married yet. And then she didn't mean anything by it. And she was honestly a cool lady and one of the funniest people at the bridal shower. But she's like, well, then you have to take your grandma on a cruise. And I was like, literally, I would love to take my grandmother on a cruise, but I don't. Yeah, exactly. Me not getting married shouldn't feel like a loss to the family.
Sorry, y'all.
And my family doesn't feel that way. I mean, and if they do, they don't voice it. So thank you. Please keep those lips shut. But they've never, they know I'm my mom. Well, my mom definitely doesn't care. I'm talking about kind of other grandparents, aunts, and uncles. And if they care, but they know who I am, and I've been a peculiar little cat since the beginning of time. So they know that. But I just was I thought that was just a really strange thing to say. And I gotta give my family props, because they really don't give me a lot of trouble or say a lot of shitty things about not being married or have kids. Yeah. I assume that a lot of them think I'm a lesbian.
Yeah. But let them. Yeah. It's fine.
I don't really know or care what they think, as long as they don't fucking ask me questions.
Yeah.
They can ask me any questions related to my career, whatever. But yeah. And also over the weekend, I feel like there's these little pockets in time when a ton of people get engaged at once. And this weekend was an engagement weekend.
Oh, really?
5 of my friends got engaged. And I feel obviously Valentine's Day weekend, Christmas weekend, those are New big Year's. Ones. But this one was just a huge influx of engagements. I guess maybe because it's what you're talking about, the spring weather.
Yeah.
Everyone's
it's just something about it. You just want to fuck and get married or something. You just want to indulge in love.
Yeah, the men are they're uh-oh, I feel my dick getting loose because it's so nice out. So I got better lock it down before I cheat on this woman.
Springtime,
right? Spring, it's fun.
I usually go the other way. I got to shed this lady off my back
and get some puss, because the titties are about to be out.
Summer's coming.
I know. I hear you.
I also feel very out of place at bridal showers. I've only been to 2 in my life. They and of close friends who I love and adore.
Sure.
They feel so uncomfortable. I actually really don't like them. I like them because it's such a unique energy. Exactly what you said. I don't ever experience that type of oh my God, open your present. Ugh, what? I don't want to do that. I don't want to get quizzed on facts about weddings and history. I don't care.
I know that it's a family thing for you, Corinne. I would even be surprised to hear that you guys have friends that do
Wow,
that.
That's rude.
No, I don't mean that.
I still have a lot of non-comedian friends.
No, I know, but it's
savages.
Still, it does. I know, but there's still in my case, I feel so. My version of this, I think, is now when I see people like guys that I grew up with literally have full families, like kids and stuff like that.
Ew.
I feel very out of place, and I'm just not that close with a lot of those people in my life anymore.
Right.
We're on such different pages,
right.
Which is why it's kind of surprising to me that you guys have. Family, like I said, is different.
Friends
I like having friends that are very different and are doing the more traditional things, because then I get to I get to experience.
It's like having a nephew.
Thing.
You get to play with the kid. You're related to it. That's cool, and then you leave. You know, it is nice. But the last bridal shower I went to was the day that I broke up with Steven.
Oh.
And I had just fucked another guy.
Right.
And
I remember this vaguely.
I walked into the shower and I was hung over because I fucked somebody the night before. Obviously, I had to get a little drunk. And I walked in, and my friends who've known me since high school, they're like, "What'd you do?" And I was like, "I fucked someone and I'm breaking up with Steven tonight." And that was like the talk of the bridal shower. And yeah. So I infiltrated that bridal shower. Sorry, Michelle.
Yeah, because I was like,
sorry, I made it about me.
Yeah, I was like, one of the hardest things. Tommy and I literally, before we go to every wedding, we jokingly say, "How can we make this about us?" But obviously,
it was the most interesting piece of news of the day.
But obviously, well, no, I mean, I think, but the most interesting piece of news should be that your friends getting married.
Yeah, it's just not interesting
because
you've been together for 10 years.
Because that's the thing that you got to
Right.
focus on. So I mean, obviously, we say that jokingly, but yeah, then we don't.
Well, it's hard for me to go, "Oh, a quiz. I hope I win." Like, I can't do it.
No, I just, you know, I just chat. I love chatting with older women. So that's kind of what I do. I just chat with like older women, see how their lives have panned out, take notes on what to do or what not to do.
Yes. Older women are beautiful amoebas of wisdom. And I love that.
I like it. That was fun. All right, guys. Guess who is also a beautiful amoeba of wisdom? This week's guest. All right. She's a celebrity astrologer, a columnist, a best-selling author, and host of a podcast, which I should write in there. I don't know. I forgot what it's called.
It's here. I thought I put it in here. Fuck.
No.
Can you make a note? Mike.
Yeah, no. I want to just plug her. I'm going to go to her Instagram.
Okay.
Because I think there's like a, what is it? Host Stars Like Us. Is that what it is?
Oh yes, host a weekly astrology podcast, Stars Like Us, which is
Okay,
great.
that's what I was looking for.
I actually didn't. Stars Like Us.
All right, so I'm going to start this again. All right, and guess who else is an amoeba of wisdom? It's this week's guest.
Okay.
She's a celebrity astrologer, a columnist, a best-selling author. She is host of the podcast Stars Like Us. She was referred to as a rising star in modern spirituality. She's been featured in the New York Times, New Yorker, Vogue, InStyle, The Cut, and numerous other publications. Wow, this is incredible. This is like the longest bio we've ever had. Anyway, you want to fucking check her out. Please welcome to the show, Elisa Kelly.
We are here with Elisa Kelly. Oh man, I'm so excited to talk to you about astrology and dating and sex and woof. There's a lot.
Those are my favorite things.
Yeah. And they have a lot. Every time like I date somebody or I fuck somebody, people are always like, "What's their sign and what's it compatible?" When I discovered the pattern app, I was like, "What the fuck is this witchery?" Like this, it was amazing. It's an astrology based app because it involves, your birth time, date, and all that stuff. But why is astrology important? Why should we consider it in sex and dating?
That's a great question. I think that astrology is important because it gives us insight into a very multidimensional reality. And I think that when we are, especially in terms of love and dating, when we are interacting with someone, it's very easy for us to filter that experience through our own lens. And how could we not?
Yeah, that's right.
But when we have astrology, it almost allows us to look at it not objectively, but with more nuance and with more dimensionality than we as individuals would be able to offer.
Yeah, and we could take things less personally.
Right, right.
I remember the thing that blew me away specifically about the pattern app was the relationship part of it, where you put somebody else's. So I put my ex-boyfriend in, and it said it analyzed our bond, and it was like if he doesn't feel like he's providing for you, he loses his mind. And I was like, oh my God, it's in the stars.
What was he, a Virgo?
He was the end of November. Whatever that one is.
Sagittarius.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's the only Sagittarius that's ever wanted to do something for anyone. That's lovely. I'm just kidding, everyone. No panic. That's not a sweeping statement.
I love how offended people get by sweeping statements on different signs. It's hilarious. That was a really good answer that you gave. And I think, because I think so often, and listen, I'm a skeptic about everything, and just full disclosure, including astrology, but also religion, anything under there. But I'm interested in it and I'm fascinated by it. And I always want to learn more. And I know there's been a lot of conversation specifically about like how the, I hate the word of patriarchy because it's so overused, but how the patriarchy kind of makes fun of things like astrology and tarot to give it less power and give it less meaning. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Oh, yes, of course I can. Oh, that's all I do. I actually just made a video the other day where I said, like, we have to stop telling boys about astrology.
Right.
Because they're going to ruin it and they're going to make it disgusting.
Right.
Like right now, they are shaming us for it. And that's been going on for a long time. You know, like I've been in this game for
Can't
10
shame us if
years.
we don't give a shit, though.
Right. It's true. It's true. They can't shame us if we don't give a shit. But one of these days, one of these boys in Murray Hill is going to find out that astrology slaps.
Yeah.
And they're going to turn it
they're going to make a band out of it.
Exactly. And they're going to make brackets.
Yeah.
They're going to make it like
They're going to bet on it. They're going to invest in it.
Exactly. It's going to be like NFTs all over again. And it's just like, I can't tolerate that. Absolutely not. Then I'm out of a job.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm
Right.
washed up because this is what I do. I do it to be subversive. You know,
Right.
part of me loves to piss men off.
Yeah.
Like it's a really big
Nice.
part of my identity.
I was like, all of me loves to piss men off.
Yeah.
So.
Right. I mean, it might literally be all of me. It might be all of me.
Are you straight?
I am.
Damn it.
I'm straight and I'm
Yeah.
engaged to a man who
Okay.
is also straight. And
Yeah. That's how that goes.
believe it or not, but that's the only time that I'm like all men except for my sweet
husband.
little fiance.
Yeah. Oh,
You gotta find one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one so far.
When you met, how long have you guys been together?
5 years.
And when you met him, like when you meet someone, is the first thing you do go birth chart, or do you get to know them?
It depends.
level?
I mean, at that 5 years ago, yes.
Yeah.
5 years ago, full yes. But now it's almost like I'm trying to like have relationships that are not just about trying to get me to give them astrology readings all the
Right.
time.
Right.
So I'm like burying
A
the
genuine
lead a little.
connection.
Yeah, right. A genuine connection. I'm trying to like bury the lead a little bit more and not like go full hard into astrology.
Right.
But like I also don't make new friends. So it's part of the journey.
Yeah, I guess it stops at a certain age,
Yeah.
but I'm like, oh man, I want to keep making new friends.
Well, I think like when you know so much about astrology, I would find it hard not to, when you have the level of knowledge that you have, look into it as how it relates to anything. Like before I paid a bill, before I made any move. And you said you want to live your life a little bit regularly. So how do you decide when you use astrology and when you don't?
I think I would imagine that it's probably similar to how a therapist does psychoanalysis.
Okay.
You know, like, are you going to psychoanalyze your bodega guy? Maybe.
Right.
Like maybe I'll have to
For
do the chart.
funsies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Or maybe it's an interaction that doesn't need that level of depth. So like I kind
Discernment.
of, it's discernment. It's recognizing that it also does take a lot of energy and time and commitment to sort of create a comprehensive astrological profile for someone.
Sure.
So I can't just go like, doing that all day long with everyone.
Yeah.
What is like the percentage of accuracy do you, in your opinion, in astrology that you've done for people? Like
100%.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah. I really think I'm good at what I do.
No. I don't mean you personally, but I mean like have the stars ever led you in the wrong direction? Like have you ever looked into something and said like this person is not a good fit for me, and it turns out that maybe they were a good friend or a good partner or someone positive in your life?
I would be super open to that happening,
Right.
but it has not happened yet.
Okay.
I would be. I did have a transit, for instance, this year that I thought was going to be very auspicious.
Could you explain a transit?
Sure, yeah. So it's basically like what the planets are doing in the sky and then how they are activating your birth chart.
Yeah.
So I had a transit this year, actually Jupiter in Pisces. I have a Pisces moon that I thought was going to be like really just like lucky. I thought that I was going to become like a millionaire. I thought that everything was going to change. I was like really high hopes. And it turns out that it just was a lot of mommy issues. Which makes sense because it was Jupiter, the planet of expansion, on my moon, which is about the mom and maternal things. So like that was how it actually manifested, which is a little bit of a bummer because I thought that it was going to be like, wow, fame and
$1 million.
fortune. Yeah, $1 million.
But now you
Won the
gotta deal with your
lottery.
mom.
But I don't play the lottery. I just deal with my mom. So
Interesting.
I do both. So, wow.
Okay, so sorry, I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about, wait, how could one be interpreted as the other? I was like, those are such drastically different things.
Right. But yeah, but seriously though, how? Like how fortune and trauma, yeah.
Yeah, so I have my moon in Pisces in the second house, which is the area of the chart that's connected to resources, wealth, finances, material possessions. The moon also represents what keeps you safe, what keeps you nurtured. It's your mother. It is your relationship with your mother. So I was looking at Jupiter.
If you have a bad one, yeah.
Right. So I was looking at Jupiter come into my moon, prioritizing looking at the second house and being like, yes, Jupiter, planet of expansion, and get that money. But it turns out that was not what shook down. No, it was.
But something did happen, and
with my mom that does check out astrologically.
Right,
it totally checks out.
Yeah,
I was like sort of selective interpreting.
Well, sure, and I think that happens a lot in things like my thing of all like the woo that I'm very into. I'm very into tarot. I love it because it's based on my own intuition, which basically I trust, and it's very hard for me to trust other people's and other readings because like, especially like having this show, they'll put shit that they know about me from this show into the reading, which I don't feel like it's helpful.
Yeah.
And also this is me,
version.
but this is not like, I'm not like this. I'm not like, pointing fingers and saying fucking leave your husband all the time, all the live long day. But how do you feel like you can give clear readings to people when you know so much about them personally? Like, how do you set that aside?
So with like friends and family, I try very hard to be objective, and I recognize and I sort of like prep them for it of being like, I've known you for a long time, so this is how I'm framing these things.
Sure.
I would say that with celebrity stuff, it is probably the most challenging, because there is so much information a lot of the time that is like publicly available, and even if it's not like I'm not like seeking shit out before reading for someone famous, but just like you'll have an impression of who someone is based on how they have been portrayed in media, or like certain breakups or certain important events that have happened in their lives. So then when you're doing a reading for that person, it's like you're trying to not assume that what the truth was, even though of course, astrologers, like anyone else, is a person. They're not, a prophet. So they are still going to be putting their projections onto it to some degree.
What do people get out of an astrological chart reading? Like, why would somebody want that? Like why do people come to you? Like for turning points in their life, making a major decision, or just they're at rock bottom?
Well, I think I'm not doing sessions with clients anymore, but when I did for so many years, I found that the ones that were most meaningful for me, and I think that people got the most out of, is to feel whole. It's like if you have certain areas of your life that make sense, or certain things that you think make sense, but then in actuality, they're like not going according to plan, where things just feel like they're off. An astrology reading can help sort of bring those parts together and can provide insight and direction, and then of course timing into when things are going to change and how they can change. I'm really into like using astrology as a tool for empowerment, which sounds like very corny, but the truth is that like I don't want to stress someone out. Like my intention, if someone is coming into a session with me, is to make them leave feeling really like jazzed the fuck up. Like if they're leaving being stressed, paranoid, like anxious that everything is falling apart, that they can't trust anyone, like that, I didn't do a good job.
Them to have hope.
Yes.
Yeah, and a direction and somewhere to go.
Right. So even if I have to be like, yo, like something is up with your partner, like I see something is amiss.
You could see that in the chart?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. And even if I do, like, I'm not going to end on that note.
Right.
We're going to talk about what comes next. I would never leave someone just to like figure it out on their own.
Right.
Because that to me is like, then I'm taking advantage, like I'm not using it ethically.
Well, I think also that I found with a lot of these things is, sometimes it looks like in the chart or in the cards, it looks like it's going to be this huge change when really it's just a huge change like within the reading. And when it actually happens in life, I find it to be, I'm like, oh, it did happen, but it was a lot smaller. Like I always think of things like, this is going to be the Titanic and we're going to get into a huge shipwreck. shipwreck or like everyone in my family is going to die, when in reality it's usually a slight change, because sometimes it is scary. Like I got a tarot reading for the whole year and they're basically like, your summer's going to be like the worst summer ever. And then I was like, why did I do this to myself? Now I'm just dreading these upcoming months, and this is no way to live. And like it would have happened anyway, and I would have handled it just like I've handled the past 36 years of my life.
Like I don't fuck around like that. I wouldn't have given you that kind of reading. Like, I don't think that's a good reading that you had that experience.
But then I'm just thinking, and I'm like, but also what I had to remind myself of is that I don't think it's going to be as big as it seemed in the cards, because it pretty much never is. And like, obviously big things happen in life, but even when the big things that happened, appeared differently in the cards, I suppose. I don't know if you're also into tarot.
I do too. Yeah.
Okay. I figured
the whole space.
And we're
really
talking about, I just wanted to mention that we're talking about ancient things like tools, like astrology. You know about the history of astrology? I don't. I'm more asking, but like it's been around for a long ass time. It's not just something that young chicks made up.
Yeah, right.
It just has like a reemergence right now.
Right.
Yeah. It's been around for a very long time, and ultimately, what it is you're looking at patterns.
Yeah.
And whether
it's all math.
I'm also a skeptic. I'm like a full.
Which you should be, because that's how you get to the truth.
Totally. Like, and there's different modalities that cross paths with mine. And, in the sort of mystical space, people are doing other things. Like there's the whole EFT tapping thing. Mm-hmm. Like I can't, it's not for me. It's not for me right now. It might be for me later, but it's not for me right now. I'm skeptical of it. Mm-hmm. I don't like a story where someone's like, and then it changed my life. Yeah. It's like, what is that? Did you see it on TV? Like, what is the story with this? Is it a magic pill? Because I don't trust that. With astrology, it's patterns, it's cycles, it's timing. So really you're looking at like all of the information that you have available, and then you are basically treating it like it's a super, super big clock,
Like the seasons.
Right.
It's going to get cold in December.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at a storyline that is 6 years long, that's half a Jupiter cycle, you're going to see sort of a recurring theme come up than it did, 6 years. Each 6 years, you're going to have a Jupiterian theme come up. So there's this natural sort of like order to it that I think just makes sense with the timing of people's lives. And it lends itself so organically to these astrological planets.
Yeah.
But whether you're using the planets or you're making up like random arbitrary names, I think that you could still get the same effect. Yeah. It's just that the planets have like really solid archetypes. It's a really established
So it's the way a lot of big companies have like those insurance predictors where they're predicting this is the chances of you getting into an accident if you own this type of boat. It's the same fucking thing, except we're going off of the stars instead of just fucking guessing.
Totally. Yeah, it's very similar. It is. Yeah. I mean, everything is making predictions. Yeah. Life is making predictions. And astrology just allows there to be a sort of discernment and a refinement to those predictions. Yeah. You could say this is a prediction around career, or this is a prediction around family stuff or pregnancy or whatever it is. Yeah. But it's no different than how we are moving through our life anyway, wondering when things are going to happen and sort of having timelines established for when certain things will occur.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think of like a common bone that I have to pick, and it's not the fault of like astrologers. It's the fault of people who will kind of use it more as a hobby, I would say. And that's that so often people will like not date a whole sign just based on like that is their sign. Or
I don't think it's real. I don't think this is a real case study. I think that men made this up.
Oh, no, I mean, I know women who do this.
Really?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, because
edit this out.
No.
We cannot let the men know this.
No. Just because of Guys We Fcked, I'm dealing with 75% of the people I interact with online are women, and so that's what I'm dealing with.
Well, it's kind of like, me saying I'm not going to date a guy named Steven. It's like, well, okay, maybe but their astrological sign does lend characteristics about them.
But like, even like, it's like, I know other Libras, and like, actually one of the main other Libras I know is like so wildly different than me in so many ways. And then also the second part of it is that people will then, and this is also women, because again, I don't talk about astrology with men.
No,
just they don't want to hear about it.
It's a waste of my time. I try not to talk to men as much as possible.
I don't know. I get it.
And then people will also behave like, will blame bad behaviors on their sign as if they don't have any fucking, I have a joke about that, like as if they don't have any fucking control over their own actions, which is my problem with a lot of things.
Right.
Therapy, like so many things I have a problem with, where it's just like, oh, you're just somehow absolving yourself of any personal responsibility, and like, oh, your life is a disaster because it's written in the stars this way, which is, I think, a wild way to live.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that, like, I would say that if someone, or if maybe there's a few women who say, I'm never dating a Cancer again.
Sure.
Like, I would call bullshit on that.
Right.
I genuinely would call bullshit. I think that it might be something that's like thrown around facetiously.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I've truly never met someone who has said, I'm not going, this person like saw me. I went on an incredible date with them. We had the most amazing time, but I said, I'm not dating Cancers anymore. Like,
Right.
that, I feel like that
Why would
really,
you limit
that's like
yourself?
how men I have found talk about women who love astrology. They're like, oh, you're just going to write us all off because we're Geminis or Scorpios. It's like, you literally,
They're always
like,
men be throwing their insecurities at
right.
us
It's
all
like
the time.
you rate women.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I actually never even
Right.
heard men
Rate
talk
women.
that high level about astrology. So that's,
I mean, unfortunately, like they practice on me. You know?
Oh, wow.
They
so you get it a
practice-
lot.
Yeah. I used
Jesus.
to. I mean, now
you get a
I-
lot of DMs about that from dudes.
No, the guys don't DM me, period. But once upon a time, I used to, when I was like younger, in my 20s, when I was single, I used to find myself, unfortunately, in a lot of these conversations at parties, which is like not what I wanted to do.
of course.
Yeah, right.
It's like not how I wanted to spend my night.
No.
Yeah.
But I would find myself arguing with men about like, oh, women are writing me off because I'm this. And it's like, actually, they're writing you off because you're an asshole.
Right.
You know?
That's interesting.
And you are projecting that through a women's problem.
You'd rather blame it on something
Yeah.
else than dealing with it and fixing yourself, because that's harder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think that women, certainly if it's like new and you're just starting to learn about sun signs, maybe you're like, oh, I see a pattern with the people I'm dating. But that's an entry point. You know,
Yeah.
that's like an invitation to go deeper, not to be like, that's it, case closed.
Not to write it off. Yeah.
None from me.
Right. How do you use astrology to deal with, like you said, you mentioned earlier, the mommy issues, like you were dealing with a lot of maternal stuff. Like, do you, could I ask you the nature of your mommy issues as somebody who also has them? I cut my parents off recently.
Oh,
so.
wow. That's intense and
Yeah.
hard and scary. A lot of stuff. I mean, my mom was a single mom raising me. She got cancer when I was 10, was
damn.
sick like my whole life, you know, is continuously ill, but then also has had struggles with her medication because
Yeah.
of cancer and non-cancer things.
Yeah, right,
So
right.
it's, but then I'm her only daughter. So I feel like a very heavy obligation to take care of her.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, while we're on this topic, I don't think she's going to listen to this episode. I fucking hope not. I think that a lot of my mystical, spiritual, esoteric skills have come from those conditions. I think that me needing to anticipate my mom's needs, feeling like my mom has not always been there for me, or she's sort of like throttled her ability to be there based on her mental health, has made me much more attuned to subtleties, to energies, to storylines, to vibes. And that has all informed the work that I do.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's
gift.
it's the trauma and the childhood experiences that I have directly translated into what I do for a living.
And your emotional sensitivity.
Exactly. Yeah.
How did you discover that you were interested in this, good in this, what it was to begin with?
Well, I discovered I was interested in it because I was going through a really, really hard time in my early 20s. And I had always
What did that look like? Like mentally?
It was kind of all across the board. I was
Yeah.
living in Los Angeles. Well, I was blonde. So like a lot of writing was on the wall that things were not going well.
Where are you from originally?
New York.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I was like, yeah, okay. That's the problem.
Yeah. And I thought that I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I thought that I wanted to go into the art world and work as a gallerist, and I was doing that. I had not integrated in my life the fact that I had not, my family did not come from any economic privilege. So like I was up against girls who were like raised by millionaire rich parents who had like all of these art dealer friends.
Yeah,
And
when
was
I
like,
learned that Lena Dunham made tiny furniture because like her parents, I was like,
yeah,
damn,
it's really heartbreaking. It's really
Not
heartbreaking.
that she's not a good artist, but I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I know. And so I was like kind of reconciling that, but I was also really ashamed of where I had come from. I really, I had all of these eating disorders throughout my teen years that were resurfacing. I was really making a lot of very bad romantic decisions, like just fucking the worst people on the planet, you know, like really, and just like back to back to back, really broke, going into excessive amounts of debt because I was getting paid on commission, but I wasn't selling any art because I didn't know any rich people. So I was just like, fucked. You know, like I was just really in a bad way. And I didn't really know how to put these pieces together. And through the process of feeling very fragmented, found astrology, I think as a lot of people do, saw that I was a Pisces moon, and reading about that placement gave me so much insight into the fact that my Leo sun, which is what I had always just identified, was only the tip of the iceberg. And that there were all of these other things that were going on behind the scenes and that lived within me, and that there was actually like language and archetypes and planets around that could explain these very contradictory parts of my personality, you know, like the parts of me that felt like they were not fully able to coexist with the other parts. And then I realized I was
easy
good
to
at
feel
it.
schizophrenic.
Yeah, totally.
When you don't understand that.
Right.
That's
And
what
I
that
really
meant.
did. Like, I really feel like it was like I was towing the line of like a personality disorder, you know, like I felt really fragmented. And not to say like astrology fixed me. I also started therapy at the same time. So like therapy and astrology have gone hand in hand for me.
Right.
But how I realized I was good at it is because I was able to start synthesizing the information really fast. And I was able to, I was learning and I was like absorbing it really quickly. And I very rapidly sort of wanted to move out of just my own birth chart and into talking to other people about theirs. And it was really fast how I was able to sort of like, as I was learning the different planets and the signs and the aspects and the houses and all of the different features of astrology, I was like, oh yes, then this goes here, and then these together equal this, and then this is who you are. And it just was flowing and working. So
it's an important tool, especially when somebody doesn't know who they are.
Yeah.
That, and then trauma will do that to you, or
Right.
like being, you know, hyper vigilant and aware of a mother's emotional state. Like that'll fucking, you're like, you don't care who you are because you're too worried about her.
Yes.
So that's like an introductory to yourself in a way.
Right. And that's also why like my particular flavor of astrology speaks to a lot of the same things that I had gone through.
Yeah.
Right. Is because that is the language that astrology helped me harmonize, you know, and that is also like how I still interpret charts and still want to empower other people too.
Yeah.
Why did you stop to working with clients one-on-one?
Because it's impossible. At a certain point, I think it becomes sort of untenable. You realize that if you have openings, people are going to book them.
Right.
And there's no end to that.
Yeah.
You know, and there's, at a certain point, I felt like I couldn't just keep charging more and more money, but I also can't just spend my day working one-on-one with people all the time. And I've done charts for so many thousands of people.
Right.
I started to notice during 2020, which was like just a tough year to do anything, but it was a really tough year to be an astrologer, when people were like, a lot of people were going through their first crises.
Yeah.
You know? Then there's me, who's like, I've been through a crisis or two.
I know it was. It was laughable to watch people. I know you guys were going through pain, but I was laughing because everyone was handling it so fucking poorly.
Yeah, and so everyone at that moment wanted to work with an astrologer,
Right,
And
yeah.
like I also I have a grandma in a nursing home. Like I have things I have to deal
You
with.
had your own shit to worry about.
Yeah, and I started to notice by the end that my patience was really wearing thin. Like people would come to me with like non-issue issues, and I'd be like, nah, this wasn't worth $400.
Sorry, but
like,
your problem's stupid.
Sorry, you had a stupid problem.
Yeah.
I just can't sit and watch any more Netflix by myself.
Can you give me an example? And obviously, no names, but like, what is an example of one that you were like, "Are you fucking serious?" Like, or like a ballpark, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I think like a 23-year-old who lives
that already, I'm like,
right? That's just as an opener.
Yeah,
a 23-year-old who like lives in the East Village because her parents are paying her rent, and she's like conflicted as to whether she should go to like Greece, or,
Oh my God.
or like take this job at a PR company. Like like
get the-
Hillary Duff, I can't. Like I simply can't. This is not.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Like my rock bottoms did not look like that. You know?
Yeah. So funny. And not to say that a 23-year-old can't be going through something heavy. Obviously they can.
Right.
but-
And they can. And like, I know that someone's darkest shadows are still relative to their own experience.
Of course,
You know, like
yeah.
for that person, it's the same as like waking up in an alley. You know, like it's the same.
Greece or PR. And you're absolutely right. And I do try to keep that in mind, but it's just so it's hard to swallow sometimes.
It is. Yeah. I think especially like when especially if you know that person is like just has a direct credit card to their parents and they are not even paying for the session themselves. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like that
Right.
adds another layer where I'm like,
Right.
you really, really don't need this, baby.
Right.
Like, I really, like,
And
I don't need to spend this hour.
What is the service I'm putting out into
Exactly.
the world
And like,
right
I
now?
don't even want this money.
yeah,
Like, I don't want any,
It's
I don't
dirt-
want
it's
this
blood
story.
money at that
I don't
point.
want the blood money. Yeah. I don't want anything.
Yeah.
And so what is your goal ultimately to do with your career? Like what would make you the happiest to use your gift if it's not one-on-one? Because I mean, that sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, I think that I would like to be able to uplift people through this type of material.
On a larger scale, though?
Yeah, on a larger scale. And I'm not sure exactly what that looks like yet.
Right.
But I know that like shifting away from just one-on-one sessions to being able to speak more broadly about these topics or like have different containers where I can interact with people.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe like, on my new show, it's, people come up and ask questions and other people are listening. So it's not like in these little private spaces. Yeah.
How can we use astrology in our sex lives?
In all the ways.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean,
I have a book called Sextrology.
I love that book.
And I've looked at my sign, but I'm like, I don't know if I look at, because like the sign that I'm in, I guess I'm a Pisces. I don't know which one to look at. Like rising, your sun, and your moon. Which one are you?
You're all of them.
Okay.
You're all of them. What are you?
Me? I'm Libra, and then my rising is Pisces, which is interesting
that
because
is interesting.
that's like how the world sees you. But I actually spent a long time thinking about it, and it makes sense because people continuously really misinterpret me. That's like probably my biggest challenge, like of existence, is that people are really certain that I'm one way, and I'm like number one, assure you, and number two, I'm very open about who I am, and they always think it's some kind of a lie or a huge cover up, and I go, I don't have the fucking time to be. I gotta get through all of Gilmore Girls. I can't be. I can't be.
A heavy schedule today.
Yeah, I can't be pretending to be somebody else. And I think, people think that I am, from what I know about Pisces, which is just literally, I only know about it from Krystyna. I think people see me as someone who is like covering up some deep wound, but really no wound exists. Or the wounds that do exist, I have already told you about.
No wound exists.
I had a nice childhood, one of the few, I know.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, any of the wounds that I have are ones that I've been open about because they happened in my 20s, so they're like here. I also like really love myself, really know myself. I'm not really a good person to base off. Even in therapy, I have to like talk people. I go, we can talk about my childhood all day, but that's not where you're going to find the problem.
Well, this is interesting. So what's your moon sign?
Oh God, so I have to moon Aries.
Oh, okay. Aries rising. Wow.
I love Aries. Aries is like, as far as who I like in the world, my favorite celebrities are all Aries.
I'm Aries rising.
So you were born during a full moon, and you were born during a new moon, right?
So how do you know?
Moon in
I don't know.
Pisces.
How do you know? Oh, if a moon
Did
is
you
in
enter
Pisces.
Did you enter in your time of birth?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
So you're definitely an Aries rising.
Yeah.
Born just a little bit after dawn.
9:15 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I believe you. Okay. So you have a son. So you were born during a new moon and you were born during a full moon, which is kind of just cool because those are like the climaxes of the lunar cycle.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you have a new moon and then you go in through all of your waxing phases and then you have a full moon and then you go through the waning phases and then you have a new moon and so on and so forth.
I feel like you just explained why I have a coffin in my house. It's very full moon werewolf energy.
I have a coffin in my house too. Oh my God. What are the odds? Quite literally.
I was really slim.
Very low.
I'm sitting at a table with two women who have coffins in their home.
God.
That's incredible.
So yeah, I knew that's why I knew I liked you.
But just on the rising sign, I think that it being presented as the way other people see you is actually a little bit of a...
Because this says your motivation for living life on this app.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know,
I did write the content for that app. Ooh, tease.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, don't talk about it though.
Okay. I won't.
But
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is why it says that.
Beautiful writing in
Thank
this
you
app.
so much.
Yeah.
The way that your rising is actually the way that you see the world. And the reason that people then experience you as that is because there is a correlation between like your perspective on reality and then obviously like what you exude to others. So if you're a Pisces rising and you're ruled by Jupiter or Neptune, depending on what kind of system you like to use, I'll say both.
Okay.
Both of these big planets have this inherent sort of like optimism to them, right? So you see the world as this very expansive, very sort of magical, very enchanting, optimistic place.
That's me though. That's not her.
But it's a misread. I think it is me. It is me. The optimism. I'm like, I think the thing that most explains who I am in things I've read is a truth seeker. In everything that I do, you will find whether it pisses people off or not, which is why I have a problem in like, it explains why I'm a comedian. Comedians are truth seekers. That's what you are. I have a show about news. It's not about right or left. It's about, I don't care what it is. I want to know what's the real answer.
Well, I think that's the full moon part of you, because a full moon is about exposure.
Okay.
Right? A full moon, when you have a full moon, you are born with the moon with equal sort of like weight and gravity and like airtime as the sun, right? So you have like the sun shining, doing its thing, and then you also have the moon being like, hey, I have something to say too. I'm going to shine a light in places that you wouldn't usually look. So the full moon part of your chart is about bringing things together, shining the light on the truth, shining light in darkness, sort of creating this like understanding sort of the bifurcation of things, and then and that's also part of the Libra aspect too with the scales, right? So being on that access plane of like, what is the truth? Where do I find the truth? And is your sun in your 12th house, or no, your moon is in your 12th house?
You've gone beyond my knowledge.
Mine are both.
I think, and your moon is in your 12th.
Mine are both in the 12th
yeah.
house. Sun and
so
moon.
you're both really psychic bitches.
I get, it's almost annoying, honestly. Like I know when I talk to people now, it's fucking happening where it's like I know exactly what they're going to say before they say it. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I want to hone in on it and use it for what I want to use it for.
You both have this like, is your moon in your 12th?
I don't know how to
You're
read
like,
this.
what the fuck is this? Oh.
It's a whole really long
right.
reading. Yeah, that's all I have.
Oh, yes. Your moon is in your first, of course. So your moon is in your first. Your sun, your rising, 14 degrees Pisces rising. So yeah. So this confirms what you're saying. If we could look at, is this a Vedic chart?
I don't know. It was done by another professional astrologer. So, and that's all I have. Just because I said like I haven't like I have the pattern app, but beyond that, I just kind of know like the classic things about being a Libra. I haven't really gone past it much deeper than that.
Yeah, I would say so. Think about like how could your reality be? How could you see life through the lens of a Pisces, and then how could the planets in your chart support what that means? That's really how I work with the rising
plan.
sign. Yes, your rising sign sort of establishes the instruction manual.
Okay.
And then all of the other planets sort of like fall into place in accordance with the rising sign.
Okay.
Back to sex.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it depends. So I think that like one really important thing that I always like to remind people is that everyone has a different reason for having sex.
Filling
Like-
a void, running away from someone, running towards
Great
someone.
examples. Love those. Like, or like deepening intimacy,
Right.
or wanting
That too.
or like,
I guess.
finding their creative expression. You know,
Yeah,
like there's,
sure.
there's lots of reasons to have sex, and we often don't talk about them. We often just think that we are having sex for the same reason, and then end up really disappointed by feeling like used or taken advantage of, or that like we were, that there was this misunderstanding. But I really think a lot of it comes down to the fact that like if somebody wants to use sex as a way, as like a power play, like not morally wrong.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
it's
But if
how you
it's not
choose to
discussed and the other person sees it as like a reflection of intimacy and closeness,
Right.
we got a problem.
Yeah.
You know? So I like to look at Mars when we're looking at sex, because Mars, in the house that it's located in the sign that it's in, is going to give us a lot of information about like why you're thrusting.
Could you tell me why I'm thrusting? My Mars is in Sagittarius in the 9th house.
For experience
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and adventure. Thrusting for adventure.
Yeah, baby.
T for A.
Goddamn right. Give me that dick. Woo!
Thrusting for adventure. Yeah. So and there's like nothing wrong with that, you know, but if someone thinks that you're thrusting to stay home,
Right.
you know, and like thrusting to like wife up,
Right.
then
Yeah. Okay.
And so, do you think that there's any signs that are just absolutely sexually incompatible and there's no hope?
no. I think that people just need to talk about why they're fucking.
Yeah, because especially
Right.
fucking, two people together, whether you're fucking or you're business partners, whatever, it's power. There's power play.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
power dynamics at play here. And sex is like the ultimate expression of a power
It is.
dynamic, acting it out.
Yeah, it's so carnal, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's so deep within us as sort of like an expression of identity, but there's also so much trauma and horrible experiences that have come along with it. You know, so many of us have like such damaged sexual identities, which is also not good or bad. It just is, you know,
right.
it simply is. So I think that like astrology is super helpful in just being able to create a more expansive language for talking about those things.
And I can't say for certain, but I'm guessing that the number one issue people come to you for astrologically is relationships, or
it's a big one.
Yeah.
I think that it's, you know, in 2020, it was a lot of purpose. It sort of shifted from relationships to this even more existential. I mean, this is why I had to
Jesus.
stop doing sessions, right? Like, it's like, oh my God.
How much more
what's anyone's
existential can we
purpose,
get until we
What's
evaporate?
my purpose?
right?
You
'Cause
tell me.
I think sometimes people are looking for like this very quick answer to something that will take your entire lifetime to answer.
Exactly.
And I see it in like what, you know, in all the self-help people are trying to do. And I'm like, guys, you're like looking manically for a quick answer to literally something that we have plays, movies, songs endlessly about. It's like, if Bob Dylan didn't figure it out, you're not figuring it out this week. Like,
Right. He
what are you
didn't. He
talking
didn't.
about?
Right.
I saw Bob Dylan a few months ago, and he's a perfect Gemini, and he had a song that was called "I Contain Multitudes," and I was like, "Damn, like this
Yeah.
is the Gemini anthem."
Yeah.
like here he is, like 85 years old or whatever, still saying, "I'm a fuckboy."
Yeah.
Like don't count on me. Like I'm not going to be there in the morning. Like no.
Can you overcome an aspect of your personality that's written in the stars?
Yes, I actually think that the hardest things in our charts are there for us to overcome.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, good.
So
Because
which
some
is
of
why
my charts, I'm like, I don't really like this or enjoy this
Yeah.
about me, and I would like to alter it.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I don't know if alter it,
or,
like
or go about it. So I
think,
look
like,
at it differently because
look at it
the way I'm
differently,
feeling is thumbs down.
reapproach it,
Yeah.
like reimagine it, massage it, get to know it. That's why I don't have tolerance for people who are like, I did it because I'm a this, you know, like,
Right.
sorry,
Right,
like,
because
I'm a Capricorn.
Take personal, well, because it's all about like fucking personal responsibility.
Yes.
And so it's like, well, so I feel like tale as old as time. You go back to the toxic guy over and over again. Well, to me, I'm like, okay, there's something for you to learn there.
Right.
If you're not going to leave, then obviously you're aching for a lesson and you don't even know it or something. Like, because I think we learn the most about ourselves in romantic relationships. Like all of our shit, if we have any, just gets magnified.
Yeah, I
in
think
those
that
instances.
I think romantic relationships are
Good teachers.
Yeah, they're really powerful mirrors.
Yeah.
They, you know, I think that we so often neglect the fact that we sort of create our reality, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So if you keep finding these just like monster people, which I know a lot about, I really did it.
Right.
Like,
Why
for a
were you
long
to
time.
it? For sure.
Because I didn't know myself, and I was
Right.
trying to find validation from unavailable people, you know? Like it was to not have to actually look at myself and to only look at sort of the whatever projection of myself these unavailable people would want to see me as was easier than to actually look at myself and to go deep.
What if you look at yourself and you still go after unavailable people?
If you look at yourself and you still go after unavailable people, then you are
you're
not
just-
really fully looking at yourself yet. I think.
Okay.
I think then you are still not really. It's not
I'm in a place where, just to be more specific, I'm in a place where it's like, I think I might be only sexually attracted to toxic people, and I want to change that, but I don't know. How do you change who you're sexually attracted to?
This is an interesting thing. I think that
We should go off air because otherwise we're going to lose our whole listenership.
I think that sexually attracted. I think that sometimes there's a cognitive dissonance. You know, I think that sometimes we do have to retrain ourselves to not be sexually attracted to really bad people.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to actually practice that with intention.
Yeah. How do you do that? Like, I understand how to, so I understand how to, if somebody's toxic, how you coach yourself out of like, I know you want this, but no, for these reasons, right? That's fine. But then how do you get attracted to a nice person?
I think you have to practice.
Fucking them?
Maybe not fucking them, you know,
Right,
maybe doing things differently.
Accepting what they have to offer. I mean, this is something I did too. And like, I think they're going to, like, some of them are going to bore you, but it was nice to not have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
nice.
in my relationship, because of only having had horrible experiences until my fiance, intimacy has been hard for us,
right?
Because of that, you know, and
because of your track record.
Yeah. Because I don't know how to have sex with someone who I love.
Oops. Yeah, me too. Wait, you didn't figure it out yet?
I mean, no, I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I'm figuring it out, but definitely in the beginning, it was like
anything that you guys have implemented that you're like, oh shit, this is actually really helpful. Like I follow this one woman on Instagram. She talks about just emotional intimacy during sex with a partner, and she's like, sometimes when my husband and I feel disconnected, we'll just sit on the bed and like kind of in each other's like laps and just stare at each other. And I'm like, oh,
that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that for me, what has been helpful has been communicating this, you know, like being really like honest about the fact that I can't just hop into like having a sexual appetite for someone who loves me. And it's not because, and he's an Aries, so he takes it personally. It's like, I am attracted to you. I want to have sex with you.
Right.
But I also don't know how to not be like objectified during sex, you know?
Yeah.
Like that is a hard, I'm learning.
You have to be unaware of yourself. I don't know how to be unaware of myself during sex.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like relearning that.
Yeah.
But it's almost like starting over again.
Yeah.
I lost my virginity at 13, you know? So like,
damn. Yeah.
It's been a long time of having a lot of shitty sex.
Right.
So it was to then, you know, in my late 20s, early 30s to have to like relearn how to have like healthy sexual experiences.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I needed
baby steps.
Baby steps.
And it's a partner that's kind and patient
Yes.
and loves you. That's the exact partner to help you with that.
Exactly.
Do you believe astrologically that some people are meant to not have a partner?
No, I mean, actually,
You think everyone should have a partner?
Wait, no. Hold on. Meant to, I think it's a choice. You know, if somebody doesn't want to have a partner, they don't have to have a partner. I don't think everyone has to have a partner. We're not fucking penguins over here.
But could it be in the stars ever?
I think that, no. I think that if somebody wants to be in a relationship, they could find a way to be in a relationship, even if they've had a lot of difficult things happen or have a lot of difficult astrological placements that would make it challenging.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
But I also think that some people might find that they don't want to be in a relationship and that there's a lot of societal pressure too.
Right.
And
Well,
that's a, you know, a push and pull where it's like, it does.
How come you don't want what we all want?
Right.
It's like, well, do you even want that?
Yeah. And
You're
that's
just going
like,
along with it.
Totally fine to not want to be in a relationship. But I think that people think that they're the problem if they don't want to be in one, but their actions show time and time again, like, it doesn't seem like you actually
enjoy this.
Yeah. Which is also fine.
Right.
But like, who should know when the societal pressure is that everyone needs to partner up?
Right. Because I think there are some people, I think especially working in the relationship space for so long, that would make the argument that there is some greater like lesson that, you know, kind of talking about when relationships as a mirror to yourself, that like you're avoiding tackling some things or experiences by not wanting to be in a relationship. And then I counter that by saying, what if you in a relationship is your worst self and you've been in long relationships and it makes you feel suffocated, like you can't breathe, you know, every time, no matter what.
Yeah. And I think that there are people who will find themselves in these relationships where they just feel like they have to like diminish or truncate their personalities.
Sure.
In order to be partnered.
Or refuse to, and then there's a lack of compromise.
Exactly. And then they end up being shitty relationships.
Right.
It's hard. That's a hard case study, you know, when someone genuinely if someone genuinely doesn't want to be in a relationship. I would say it's probably the minority. I would say most people.
Oh, it's definitely the minority. Yeah. I mean, basically the case study is like me sitting on this podcast every week.
Yeah.
And I'm truly exploring it like in a really head on way. Cause I certainly don't want to like miss an opportunity for growth or for an experience, but also like if something is consistently making you miserable, why would you keep doing it?
Right.
Good question.
It just doesn't make sense.
Every person is so different that maybe I would think it's logical to think, well, the two pairing of any given people, like I'm different in a relationship with one guy than I am with another. Like I'm a different version, almost not a different version of myself, but everybody brings out something different in you. So maybe,
See, I don't find that experience at all. I find that people like to believe that they are very different, in reality, kind of the same. And that also goes along with like I have a bit of a heterosexual male, like, brain. I'm not saying this to be proud of it. It's a problem. And so I see how a lot of men can kind of just like insert a new woman into their life and it fits just the same. Cause I kind of feel the same way. I like men always kind of fit the same way into my life. No one's really taken me for a crazy ride in another direction where I'm like, ooh, never saw that coming. But that's also because I have a very set pathway for what I want to do. So I'm not open to changing the course because I have the course for me set. And if you want to come, you're welcome, but don't fuck it up for me. Don't fuck up my course.
Right.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's going to be a very specific person who is moving in the same direction as you.
Right.
Yeah.
That you're going to have to like.
Who's down.
Yeah.
Right.
For the ride.
Right.
Which is not everyone. I would say it's a very small amount of people.
Yeah.
And then to find that person who continues to go your way, right? Who doesn't then say like, actually, this is my fucking stop. I'm off here. That's also a whole other thing because I think that we also imagine that relationships, I think in like our romantic view of them, they're forever relationships, but that's also a very small percentage of the relationships we actually end up in.
Yeah.
And like I am just starting to peek into the age where people are getting divorced, people who married young enough or like starting to get divorced. It's a whole other fucking journey, when you get into that next tier and the next wave of marriages. So Sex in the City.
I keep waiting for everyone to get divorced and everyone keeps staying married.
I know.
And I was like, this is not fun for my Instagram.
Yeah, we're
feed.
all the hot divorce guys. Come on.
Divorce is very sad and I don't wish that on any of you. Well, some of you, but not most of you.
Yeah.
No, but it's interesting. Like, I think that there is this, a lot of the time, like somebody will have come to me or I'll have experienced somebody in my personal life who was in a very meaningful relationship that changed them, shaped them, but it's certainly not a forever relationship. But that doesn't mean that it's not an important one.
Yeah.
Like some of the most important relationships are the shortest.
Yeah.
The ones that really affect us, not necessarily always positively, but like that change.
Usually never. Yeah.
That change our understanding.
True. Yeah.
Do you think it's wise or unwise to kind of seek out a partner based on their sign?
I think it's unwise, but I do, as an astrologer, think that it's important to look at their birth chart. And for any listeners who are my fellow astrology bitches, I think it's also very important to talk to your cishet male crush about astrology, even though I know I said earlier, stop telling the bros about it.
Yeah.
At the same time, like introduce them into the things that you like.
Right.
And don't like sequester it and make it a weird thing that you only talk to your friends about behind their back.
And you're just like randomly asking for his birth time with no explanation.
Like if it's important to you, share it. Share it with the people.
You don't have to hide it.
Yeah, don't hide it. It's
because
horrible.
an ideal partner is somebody who wants to hear about all of you.
Exactly. And doesn't just want like the wings and football version of you.
Well, because the men I've talked to,
I don't know men. Clearly I've never met a man in my
They
life.
like those things. No, like the people that I've talked to, like, yes, like on a large scale, I think men are very demeaning about astrology. But I got to say, on a one-on-one level, the men that I've talked to about that or tarot or whatever are very interested. And we're like, oh, give me a reading. Tell me more about that. And I mean, so I loved that. And like, again, like even if I'm going into it with a skeptic eye, I'm like, I just like someone who's willing to open themselves up to new experiences, learn new things from me. When I say something, like it is greeted with respect and curiosity, and not like go away over there and put some lipstick on, do a girl thing.
Yeah,
you know?
right. I mean, I think that it's like the way that men, at the end of the day, they all want their fucking chart read too.
Of course.
Duh. But they're just assholes about it, like in the comments.
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah.
what is this weird
This makes me feel
dissonance?
threatened,
Yeah, exactly.
bitch.
Like, I don't know how to mansplain this, but this is why I'm like, don't tell the bad bros, you know?
Right.
Because then once they get the information, if some motherfucker starts telling me about having a Pisces moon,
Right.
I'm going to lose my mind.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because they have
Like,
no respect or regard for what that actually
Exactly.
even fucking means in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing I wanted to talk about, twin flames. You did a video about how you're anti-twin flames.
Totally.
Made me laugh. Can you go, because again, like all this stuff is like things that you've heard, but it's like, I can't retain all this information. This
Right.
is not my occupation.
Twin
I
flames.
have to learn it. So I know what it is, but can you explain a little bit what twin flames are and why you are against them?
Well, I honestly can't tell you what the fuck they are.
Because you don't believe
Because like I
'Cause they're
can't
fake and
I
bullshit.
can't get the visual right.
Right.
You know, is it a candle with two wicks on either side? Are they two candles next to each other? Like what are we
Right.
What,
Is it just a candle looking in the mirror?
right? Like what's the two?
Are they
You know, like,
conjoined?
I
Yeah.
can't get it. So I think that it was Origin Tumblr.
Okay.
Is what I'm gonna go off. Like I'm gonna just speculate here.
Sure.
And it's definitely like dog whisper code for a toxic relationship. I've never met anyone who said I have a twin flame relationship and described a healthy, normal,
'Cause
functioning.
I don't even really
partnership.
understand what a twin flame is either. It's not a soulmate.
I know soulmate.
It
I
does
just-
seem kind of toxic.
It might be an age thing, you know, like maybe in the 90s we said soulmate, and then in the 2000s they said twin flame.
yeah.
Like I will.
it sounds romantic.
Yeah, like
but-
I can tolerate some level of just like I'm a elder millennial, so I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've had enough experience with people telling me specifically twin flame and then describing the most fucked up relationship dynamic
Sure.
imaginable.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like there's anyone who's saying twin flame and then telling me something really positive. So now it's like, well, a twin flame equals this is a bad vibe. This is an
Yeah.
on again, off again relationship where you both like cheat on each other, you come back together, you hook up when you're drunk.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
say you like can't let go of each other, and
Right.
then you're just in this like vortex of shame.
Yeah.
Like that's a twin flame relationship, I guess. But
Right.
then every time I post it, there are people and their accounts are like Lori's twin flame services, you know, like, so like
right,
who are
right,
like that's
right.
not what it is.
1-800 twin flames.
Right, exactly. Like
Yeah.
whose whole businesses are structured around twin flames. Or like you're misrepresenting it. That's not what a twin flame is. A twin flame is a serious, spiritual, heartfelt deep dive into the soul. You're really not looking for someone else. You're looking for yourself. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, Lori, like cool.
You want me to tell you, bitch? I
Cool.
got it.
It's a video I made. You
Yeah.
know, like I don't like twin flames because everyone who tells me about them makes me worried about their mental health. You know,
Right.
Do you believe in soulmates?
I do. So like that's
Is that in the stars?
So yes, I mean there
Really?
are definitely like cosmic signatures. You know, there's beautiful
Oh.
like things when you're looking at compatibility that can really light up.
Oh wow.
And I think that soulmates exist because I think that a lot of people are soulmates.
Yeah.
I don't think soulmates are just romantic partners.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think that like you could have friends that are soulmates and business partners that are soulmates.
Sure.
And romantic partners that are soulmates, but also
Right.
like pets that are soulmates. You know, like
Yeah.
I think that soulmates are not just relegated to like the love and sex.
Yeah, which I think
for
twin
sure
flame
is. I think twin flame is relegated to love and sex.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm twin flames with my dog. Like that would people would like
You'd be like,
call,
oh, so you and your dog like insult each other and then pretend you don't
like
care.
call like Animal Protective Services if I said that. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Have there been challenges that you like were written in the stars for you and your fiance that you like knew were coming and have overcame, or anything, or was that like a conversation you sat down and had once you looked into his birth chart?
Well, we both are Capricorn rising.
Oh, interesting.
But yeah, I'm an earlier degree Capricorn rising than he is. So that means that like I will usually feel something first. So something happens, and then it depends on the thing because each planet has a different speed. So like, for instance, when Pluto crossed my ascendant, that happened before we met. So Pluto crossed my ascendant, which was kind of like my becoming of an astrologer. That was like a huge cataclysmic shift for me. 12 degrees. 27 degrees is his Capricorn rising. So Pluto just started crossing his ascendant right now. So he's going through a lot of like, who am I? What am I doing with my life? How do I see myself relative to society, to my family, to who I thought I was? And he's going through that now.
Yeah.
In addition to other things, right? Like Saturn crossed my ascendant before it crossed his. So like there's a little bit of like there's kind of like a delay in when things hit us that I'm sensitive to, that we are on similar timelines, but not always the same, And I'm very sensitive to the fact that we might have certain things where we're totally synced on, but then there's other things that like we're just going to experience very differently because of astrology, because we're different people, because we've had different lives. But like whatever it is, it's like those are the spaces where, I try to be very compassionate and understanding of like, even if I think I figured this out, because really, let's be honest about it, I'm like the dick who's like, oh, this is all so obvious, like just do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. But like, I got to give him his space.
He has to learn on his own.
Exactly.
Well, that's one of the most interesting, I think, adult like realizations that we have is that we could both be, and I, as a person who went to film school, I should have fucking known this, but I didn't. But it's just like you could both be sitting in the same theater, watching the same movie at the same time in the same city, and you come out of it having a much different experience, a much different takeaway, much different themes from it. I mean, even the filmmaker themselves obviously has something in mind for what you're supposed to learn. You could think of the filmmaker as like a higher power or something, but we're all going to take something differently. Some of us are maybe going to misread the intentions of the film. I mean, that happens constantly in art. So that's just something to keep in mind. I love the look into like projecting though. That was very interesting about like projecting other people's stuff onto you.
Oh yeah.
All right. I think we're about wrapped up. Is there any tips that you would want to give people on how to responsibly use astrology, or anything that you wish people knew or were more open-minded to before we leave?
Well, I would say that something that I've kind of been, something that's become like a bit of a motto for me recently is what you need to know when you need to know it. And it's kind of like, I think that there's a lot of pressure on, especially if you're like a little interested in astrology, where you feel like, oh, I have to know everything. I have to understand what this means. I have to synthesize this. What's this? And like, that's a black hole, like astrology is endless. It's incredible. It's incredible in that way. It's incredible because it just continues to, there's no bottom, it's just like, you could go deeper and deeper, but you'll find out certain things and you'll be drawn to certain things and interested in uncovering certain things relative to what is going on with your life. So it's okay to take it slow, and it's okay to really focus on the things that are resonating with you and to spend your time on those rather than to try to push and go faster than you can process, because you know what you need to know when you need to know it. When it's time for you to unpack or open up like this whole other dimension of astrology or another planet or another sign, like it'll be that time. But because this is a mystical tradition, there's also a divine timing to understanding like what you need to know at the time you need to know it. So there's no pressure, there's no pressure to have it figured out. The whole point is that we don't have it figured out.
Right. Oh, amazing. That's good. And where can people find you?
Oh, I'm everywhere. I'm around. I'm at Elisa Kelly everywhere.
Nice. Thank you so much, Elisa, for sharing your knowledge with us. This has been Guys We Fcked, the anti-slut shaming podcast. We'll talk to you next Friday. Thank you.
That was really fucking awesome.